Okay, next we're going to talk about something called price discrimination. Now, discrimination in common language kind of has a bad connotation. Try to forget that for the moment. Price discrimination is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not like discriminating based on sex or race, which we pretty much can all agree on is socially bad. Not the case here with price discrimination. In fact, price discrimination can actually be, to some degree, a good thing. But price discrimination is basically when a firm or a monopoly sells a product at more than one price to different people that it can identify. And so you may have gone to a movie theater and gotten a ticket for a student price, right? Or a student discount somewhere else for something, right? That is an example of price discrimination. You're getting a different price than the general public, right? Because you're a student, and in most cases, students have lower incomes, and so companies realize this, and in order to try to attract their business, they charge them a different price. Now, the key is that the company has to be able to identify these different types of buyers, right? They have to be able to identify the fact that you're a student. Usually that's not too hard. You can provide, in most cases, a student ID card or something like that. They also do this with senior citizens, right? Senior citizens discounts. Again, pretty easy to verify. Just show me your ID, your driver's license, and I can verify by looking at your birth date that you are a senior citizen. So, so that's the nature of price discrimination, right? Establishing different prices for basically the same product, and providing those to different groups of buyers. Okay. So these are the necessary conditions for price discrimination. So it has to be the case that the firm faces a downward sloping demand curve. So perfectly competitive firms can't price discriminate. They face a horizontal, perfectly elastic demand curve. So they have no way of price discriminating. And like I already mentioned, the firm has to be able to very readily, as well as cheaply, identify these different groups, right? So whether you're a student or a senior citizen, and also be able to sort of get an idea of your elasticity of demand, right? And then the third sort of condition is that the firm has to be able to prevent the resale of the product. So movie tickets, this is usually pretty easy to do, although not 100% easy. But the idea there is that, let's say that, like a pair of shoes, right? Let's suppose that a store was giving students discounts on shoes. Well, it'd be hard for them to effectively price discriminate, because what would prevent you from buying your parents a pair of shoes with your discount and just giving them that deal, right? That would not be an effective use of price discrimination. So the firm has to be able to prevent resale of the product or the service. Let's real quick think about a behavioral example. Can firms use big data and complicated pricing to gouge customers? So a number of firms have been using big data techniques to improve their measurements and predictions of their business operations, namely demand curves, actually. And recently, the government has found that some firms have created complicated pricing choices for consumers in order to confuse buyers with bounded rationality, right? So recall bounded rationality and what that means. These companies might be utilizing big data techniques to improve their capabilities to engage in price discrimination. So this is something that's really going on, especially with the advent of Facebook and Google and all the data they're able to extract from us.